Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Isabell Rodriguez and I am your confident coach. For those who don't know me, I wanted to introduce to you my story. Well, tell you my story. Where I come from, my background, what I'm doing today, and why I'm actually doing. On my YouTube channel, you will probably see a lot of pregnancy video because right now, guess what? I'm pregnant. We are in 33 weeks right now. This is my first baby. I have two baby pups that we rescue here in Costa Rica where I live. I am 29 years old, so let's begin. Okay, so my name is Isabell Rodriguez and I was Isabell Anderson. I just had a last name, Anderson, okay? I'm from Sweden originally, born and raised in Stockholm in a little bitty city called Tyresö. And to really tell you my real story and how I got to the place I am today, I want to go way back to when I was kind of born. I was 1 year and 2 months old when I lost my father in a car crash. This was very devastating because for my family, this was a huge thing. You can only imagine. I have a big brother. He's 6 years older than me. We don't have the same father. But anyway, my father died suddenly in a car crash. And growing up without a father, not having a male figure, made me feel very lonely. It made me always wonder who I would have been if he was alive, who he was and how he would contribute to everything, who I am, my personality, what do I know, what should I've known, stuff like that. And also in school I felt like, a little outcast because I did not have a father. But anyway, I had my mom, which was a strong woman, but she probably felt like she needed love and she was dating a lot. And one of the men that she was dating had a son, and when I was 5 years old, he sexual abused me for a long time until my mom actually realized this, because in a car, I'm telling her with an ice cream cone what I do with his private areas. So this is how my mom found out that I was actually sexually abused. And she stopped dating this man. They got out of our lives, but this really affected me. Internally, I had a lot of emotional war going on, and that kept going throughout my youth. And for those who probably know me back when I was young, and I'm talking about like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, I could burst into tears. I would be super happy one second, and the next second I would have like rages and super mad. I could go from 1 to 10 in seconds, right? And this is a typical thing when a child actually going through some traumatic events. It shows in how they respond to the outside world a lot. And this was back in the 1990s. It wasn't that common that a girl was acting this way. I couldn't sit still. I had an extra teacher being with me, taking care of me, making sure that I got my breaks when I needed them. But they labeled me more like ADHD. She has ADHD, so she's a problem child, instead of actually looking what was going on underneath. I'm pretty sure that today's society, we are better at looking at children that are acting out very much and actually helping them. Well, at least I really hope that we are. But anyway, I grew up older, and when I was 11, my mom met the man of her dreams. This relationship went from, he was Prince Charming. We moved in after 3 months to we actually had to run for our lives into a women's shelter. And I'm talking about mentally, physically, and just abuse. Yes, he was abusing my mother. He was abusing me for around 3.5 years. it ended up so bad that we had to flee for our lives into a women's shelter. We got away, but things didn't really solve themselves just because we got away, because after this we needed to rebuild our lives completely from the ground. Our relationship was broken. We were not allowed to talk to each other when we were living together because he was scared that we were going to talk shit about him and make up a plan to basically run away, which we actually did. But we had to rebuild our lives. Our relationship, my mom was completely a wreck after this. She was not my mom anymore. She was depressed. She had anxiety. She couldn't really take care of herself or me. So I became my own guardian, or whatever you want to call it. And I did whatever I thought was right. So I was hanging out with the wrong people, drinking a lot of alcohol, turning into drugs. And my first real boyfriend was a very aggressive guy. He was the popular guy, and I fell for him immediately. And I swear to myself that I was never going to go down the same path as my mother, but I did. He used his ex to get his way with me. So he would say, Emily would have done that. Emily would have said that. Emily would have said yes to that. So what did I do as 15 years old in a very, very sensitive age? I did everything that he wanted me to. I never said no. And I can only imagine that this Emily girl, which was his ex, probably wouldn't have done half the things that I had to go through to make him happy or just get him satisfied. And this was going on for 1.5 years until I actually left him. But the threats kept going, and it went so bad that he texted me one time saying, I'm on my way to your house with my friends, and we're gonna kidnap you and keep you in my basement as a sex slave. He also threatened me one time that I should be aware of acid, and I should be aware of that when I walk outside my house. So you can only imagine how much threatened this is for a 15-year-old. I didn't want to go to school. I felt like, oh my gosh, is he gonna really go through with this? Or like, I had no idea. My anxiety at this point was severe anxiety, and I'm talking about I could try to go to school and I was puking, like just puking right in front of me. So I had to always run out or make sure where am I, because my anxiety level was so high that I was throwing up. I ventilated to I almost fainted, and I got real bad depression. And for those who actually hanged out with me back in the day, probably saw me as a fun girl, because nobody knew about my really dark side. Some people saw it at parties when I had panic attacks, or when I burst into tears, or I got crazy angry, because alcohol had an attempt to bring out those sides of me a lot. And I was drunk most of my teenage life, and I was running away. That's what I was doing. I was running away from my feelings a lot. I felt like the most loneliest girl on the planet. I felt like I couldn't talk about what had happened, because for me it was like, okay, it's over now. I should get over it. I shouldn't be a victim, and I shouldn't go around crying on people's shoulders. I felt like I needed to be tough, but instead I was breaking myself down. And I did this for a long time, many years. And I took cocaine, I took ecstasy, I just abused myself in a really, really bad way for so many years. And I do believe that people who have been through trauma go that way. I also started to develop an eating disorder. I started to have an anorexia, which turned into bulimia when I started to recover. At my lowest, I was 43 kilos, and I was very, very unhealthy. I'm very, very mentally ill, very mentally ill. But let's move on. When I was 19 years old, I woke up in a hospital, in a mental hospital. I was in and out in mental hospitals for a long time because I got diagnosed with bipolar. I was up and down. So when I got my depression states, I went into mental hospitals, and I was probably in there for 2 to 3 weeks to get myself back up on feet again. I was basically staring into the wall, not eating, not going to the bathroom, nothing, for a week. And my mom finally, made a call like, okay, she needs help. She needs to get into the hospital like as soon as possible. And this was going on for probably 2 to 3 years. People who I dated at this time probably didn't know how bad I suffered from everything. I didn't really talk that much about why, because I didn't really know why I was feeling the way I felt. I thought I was just bipolar, and that's how bipolar people are. They just go into depression and get manic, and then they do crazy stuff. Today I know that I'm not bipolar. I'm not eating medication. I don't have depression modes. I don't have manic episodes. I went through severe trauma as a child, and it wasn't one time, it wasn't 2 times. It was 4 different moments where I went through severe trauma, or I went through something that caused a trauma in my life. That's how I want to say it. And not healing from those episodes or whatever happened to me, not facing those emotions, not dealing and healing, made me go into a pattern that looked just like bipolar. And a lot of people are wrongly diagnosed because they actually do have trauma. They have gone through trauma and pushing everything away from them. They don't want to have to deal with emotions. They don't want to face what they have gone through. They just want to move on, but it's not really that easy. So we go into different patterns, and we're trying to substitute our emotions, like run away from our emotions, with different substitutes like alcohol, drugs, or we have eating disorders, going to those kind of runaway ways, I would say. So anyway, I woke up at 19 years old after having a psychosis from taking drugs for a long time. I woke up in the hospital, and this was my 4th suicidal attempt, and I was 19 years old. And I remember I was there in Sweden, and the doctor just looked at me and just said, "You are lucky to be alive right now. I don't know what you are going through, but you need to fix whatever is going inside there, because next time, it won't be a next time. You're 19 years old. What are you doing with your life?" And I just remember waking up and feeling such a guilt, not only to my mother, but to my friends, to my boyfriend at the time, to myself, to so many people. And I'm like, I could change my whole life, and I could have a really good life if I really put an effort in it, but I never really did. I just fled my whole life from those emotions that I couldn't really handle. I didn't want to face them. So from the outside in, probably people looking at me like, she is a crazy girl, a party princess. She's a fjortis, which we say in Swedish, which is like, the party princess who just want to have fun. But I really didn't have fun. I was very, very sick. But anyway, that was my wake-up call. I started to get sober. I took something called Antabus, and I went to alcohol and drug meetings. I also got help with eating disorders for my anorexia, which turned into bulimia later on, which I had to deal with for a long time. And still today, I wouldn't say I'm facing any eating disorder at all. I'm completely out of that. But if I don't take care of myself, it's easy for me to go down a road which I don't want to go down. So I'm very cautious for my own sake, for my own health, and I'm very cautious about the symptoms, right? So from there, I got myself a job. I was actually buying and selling gold. And I moved to my neighbor country, Norway, which was my country for 7 years. I lived there for 7 years, and I worked really, really hard there. And along this time, you guys, I got the opportunity to tell my story about the abuse that I was living through when I was a teenager with my stepdad, and how the life was going on afterwards. So basically, Film and Tell is the organization who made this movie. It's called Say Something. And Say Something completely changed my life. And I'm pretty sure it changed a lot of other people's lives too, because they wanted to highlight the actual problems that happens or keeps going on after the abuse, because we can talk about these horrible stories that we can hear. I mean, so many people are going through abuse, sexual abuse, rape, these war zones that they come from different countries. It's horrible stories. But what we don't really talk about is the time afterwards, the consequences of the traumas, right? And for me, that was going on for years. I would say the abuse was horrible. Living there, living inside of a war zone, in something you call home, was horrible. But the time afterwards was even worse, because I didn't know how to deal with it. The society didn't probably know how to help me either. And living in a women's shelter is not, I would recommend for anyone to have to go through. Not going to school feeling like this man is a free man, can walk outside, while I and me and my mom, we have to hide in a women's shelter. So anyway, they wanted to highlight that and Say Something to show the world how the abuse actually affects the child and the mother after such an event. So they were following us around, but they were there back and forth with us for over 5 years. And a lot of people ask me, like, how was it? You became kind of known with the cameras. Like, it was raw material. Everything that you see in this documentary is 100% real. I'm fighting with my mom. I'm going to my psychologist. Everything is real. It's no script, nothing. And of course, in the beginning, it was really, really hard having a camera up in my face, and and I wanted to be so tough. I always wanted to be so tough and say no, but it's no problem. I can do this, But it was hard. So anyway, I went to Norway. I worked my ass off. At one time, I had 4 different jobs, and I was basically sleeping at the airport in the arrival service where I worked sometimes, because I had 4 jobs. I worked usually 19 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, because I started to have a goal, and my goal started to be traveling the world. I wanted to find myself traveling the world and heal. I know today that I didn't have to find myself, but I needed to do a lot of work on myself, on my healing journey. So after working 19 hours basically for 11 months, I got enough money, and I traveled the world. I traveled to 3 continents, 22 countries at that time. But I've been traveling to 51 so far, and I'm still counting. I want to go to at least half of the world before 35. But I love traveling, and it has helped me open up my eyes in so many ways, seeing so many different cultures, seeing so many different people, talking to people, being on my own. And I'm sorry, this is what happens when you're pregnant. Just burping regularly, it just comes out. Sorry. Anyway, I traveled the world all by myself. I bought myself a backpack, and I went out in the world. And when I went to a small little country called Zambia, I went to Livingstone. This is in Africa. I saw this incredible, beautiful man, and I never spoke to him, but I swore that after I was jumping, I was going to talk to him, but he was gone. 3 days later, I go to a random restaurant and I am ordering a drink. At this time, I'm seeing somebody passing me by just from the eye, and I'm looking, oh my gosh, it's that hot guy that I was seeing the other day. Oh my gosh, it's him. And he walks out of the restaurant, right? And I'm like, you're not gonna talk to me? You're not gonna say anything? I guess I have to do it then. So I just stare at him and I see him on the other side on the street from the restaurant's door. And he starts walking back. And he says, I am here on a mission. No, wait, he didn't say I'm on a mission. He said, I'm leaving the country. I'm going back to Congo where I work for the United Nations. But if I would have stayed, you would have been my mission. Because he recognized that he saw me the other day. And then he kissed my hand. He said, I take your name and I will find you on Facebook. Crazy, because none of us asked for each other's number or anything, but he found me on Facebook on Christmas Eve 2014, you guys. And today, he is my husband. So, and what is the most craziest thing when I told you my father died when I was 1 year and 2 months old. I met Hector, my husband, in Zambia on my dead father's birthday. And I do believe in fate. I do believe in the universe. I do believe that everything happens for a reason. But I did meet him on my dead father's birthday, and I saw it as a sign from above. So we've been together for 7 years now, going strong. But after this world trip, I did a lot of growth with myself, because I was very self-destructive even when I met my husband, and I pushed him away a lot of times. I didn't want to fall in love. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to have kids. I was like, no, you know what? I'm good as it is. I'm strong. I'm independent. I don't need nobody. I pushed this man away so many times, and he never left. He just saw a very insecure girl that needed to heal, and he pushed me to do so. I went into different mentorship programs. I got myself a mentor. I got myself 2 coaches, and I did some real hard work. Today I'm working also with women specifically. I work with men too, but mostly women who have gone through trauma, and I'm helping them heal and just push forward and start making goals for themselves and reaching them, building up that confidence, which I didn't have for years when I was running with whatever I was hiding inside of me. But not only that, today I live in Costa Rica. As I mentioned before, I have 2 baby dogs. I am happily married. I'm raising a little child, a little son named Ian. We're going to name him Ian. And I also build mastermind retreats here in Costa Rica. And a lot of people is like, what is a mastermind? And I mean, we all know what a retreat is, but what is a mastermind? So it all started when we started to travel for my husband's business. He is the owner and founder of Sale Jefe Corporation, which is for the Latin American Hispanic market, to build himself up, to become entrepreneurs. So we were traveling, and he was doing conferences, events, kind of like mastermind, not retreats, but events for his students. And he has like over 200,000 students on his platform. So it was very, very huge. But then I wanted to learn Spanish. So I said, let's go to Costa Rica. We can work from wherever we are. So why not go there? And we started to have our masterminds retreat here for entrepreneurs to come learning from other experts. So what we do is we get the best experts on the market in the best fields, in different fields: health and fitness, cryptocurrency, feminine power, which is my mastermind. And then we have the Millionaires Mastermind, and also one in Spanish for the Hispanic market. So it's different themes, and we fly in experts in these different categories. And they teach the participants who come here to Costa Rica. And we offer them we deliver a 5-star retreat for 5 whole days with a personal chef, yoga teacher, meditation teacher, Zumba teacher, trainings, and the experts have their own trainings. So it's always 5 different experts in different categories teaching. And then every night we have something we call the round table, where all the participants can talk about their personal problems or their business problems, and they get all of the experts for themselves helping them how they can solve these types of problems. Because to grow in life, you need to be open to learn. Okay, so my video just stopped. I don't have enough memory, so I need to keep an eye on that too. But anyway, so when you want to grow, you need to be open to learn from people who have gone and walked the path before you, right? And these experts has their levels above you because they can teach you how you can get there. And while doing that, you experience the exotic, amazing retreats here in Costa Rica, spa days, activities days where we go on buggies or we go on a yacht, anything to get you out of your own space, to soak up all the knowledge that you need to get yourself to the next level. That is a mastermind retreat. And also we keep the masterminds going. Like a lot of people returns for the next year. Okay, you guys, I had to delete some memory from my phone, which is like completely full. So I really don't know exactly where I stopped. But also a lot of people returning to our masterminds, and it's because we create a community for people, a community for like-minded people to grow, to get the help that they need to move to the next level. And also a lot of people find their collaboration partners or partner up with the experts even, and this is a great way for them to find a community where they can also mastermind with them after the retreat is done. So anyway, I'm not going to go into too much of that, but that is what I'm doing today together with my husband. It's a passion I have. I have a lot of dreams for the future. I want to create a special women retreat for 21 days to completely change their lives with the help of psychiatrists, therapists, coaches, mentors, eating disorder clinics. I want to include everything in one space, so when one person come, it doesn't matter what kind of problem they have, if they're dealing with addiction, eating disorders, depression, whatever it can be, I want them to be able to come to one place for 21 days and get the expert help that they need for their specific problem. Because usually when you have a problem like an eating disorder or addiction, it's something laying underneath that you need to heal, that you need to deal with. And that is what I want to create. So I have a lot of big dreams that I want to do, that I want to create, because I know, because of my story, I have such a passion for helping women or young girls who have been or are in the same situation I once was, because I do know how lonely that road is, and how lonely I was for so many years, trying to be tough, trying to be the cool girl, trying to run away from myself. And I do believe those people that you look at and be like, oh my gosh, there's so much, like, oh, these people are just crazy and just too much for me to handle, are typically those people that are not feeling so well inside of themselves. You know, I hurt a lot of people along my road. I'm not saying I was a victim and everybody did things to me. No, I was hurting people as well, because guess what? Hurt people hurt people. So that was what I was doing a lot too. My defense mechanism was to like push everyone away from me, trying to protect myself from getting hurt. So today I live my dream life, in an exotic place, which I always dream about, and I cannot stress this enough. Affirmation, being grateful. Hi, that's our cleaner, Steven. So being grateful, doing affirmations, doing the work that you need to do. I do a lot of yoga, I do a lot of meditation, a lot of healing still for myself. I take a lot time for myself. I have a morning routine, which is incredible important to me, which I'm going to implement to my son as well. I hope he will do these mornings routines with me as well. But I take care of myself today. I do not drink alcohol. I do not touch drugs. I do not take prescribed medication if I don't have to. I'm a very healthy person. I make sure that whatever I put in my body is good for my body, because I know that mind, body works together. I make sure I get my trainings for at least 30 to 45 minutes each day. So I'm very cautious with those type of things because of what I've gone through and how I treated my body for a long time. So that is also what I do with my mentorship program. I have a mentorship program called Rebuild Your Life program, where I help women mostly, but I help men too. But I help them get in contact with their mind, healing what is inside there, working on their paradigms, switching and changing their inner beliefs about themselves, because that's where it all starts. You can look at your results. If you are not happy with the results you have, it's because internally you need to do some work, and that is what I help people with daily. But it's not only the mind, it's also the body, and then we have the finances, because no matter what people says, I do know that is a limited belief a lot of people has when they say, I don't need much money, I don't want much money, money is evil, whatever. Money is freedom. Money is a tool. Money is an energy that you attract into your life. And when you have more money, you can do more things for other people and help around the world. So for me, money is incredibly important, because I couldn't be able to help even half the people I'm helping today if I didn't have the money I have. So in my mentorship program, I also have a part which is called finances, because I know that finances is such a huge part of feeling good about yourself and being, I wouldn't say balanced, because what is balance really, but to have the standards that we want and feel good about ourselves. So mind, body, and finances is all three components in my mentorship program. And if you would like to know more about that, you can always contact me. I will link everything down below so you can check out the websites. So this is a very, very long video. This is my story, you guys. Now you know what I do, who I am, and where I come from. Also, in my book, Isabell Then and Now, which is, I would say the continuation of Say Something, the documentary movie. It's a lot of more details and a lot of more self-help in that book, because in a documentary you can only put as much minutes that you can, but in a book you can do it more wider in more details. So that's what I did. I wrote it to women or young girls when I was thinking about myself 10 years ago, who would have needed that book, because I would have needed that book when I was in that age and in that state. So that's why I also wrote that book. So thank you for being here. If you are in the end of this incredibly long video, I hope you liked it. Give me a thumbs up, give me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you always get new notifications when I have new videos coming up. So it's Easter. I was trying to match with the Easter. So I want to say happy Easter to everyone. Have an amazing Easter weekend. Love you guys.